Hello, my crafting friends. Spring is right around the corner, and I have 3 all new rustic DIYs that I'm so excited to show you. So come craft with me. My name is Sarah, and welcome to my channel, Primrose Lane Prims. If you haven't done so already, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and craft with me again in the future. And now let's get right into these spring DIYs. I'm going to be using some of this DOS air dry clay. This is a 2.2 pound block of clay in the color white. I get this off Amazon. And for this first project, we're going to use this to make some faux carrots. I'm just going to be using one of these greenery stems that I get from Hobby Lobby. So when you open this up, you'll notice it's it's real squishy. This is kind of like Play-Doh for adults. But I'm just going to take off a section here and I'm going to start forming it into a tube shape. So like I said, I'm going to be making a set of carrots. So I'm going to take and I'm going to start rolling my clay out. Just start rolling it into the general shape of a carrot. And I got a lot more than what I needed. And as you start to roll this down, you'll notice it'll start to get really long and you'll probably have to take some away, and that's okay. And you could make these any size that you really wanted to. I wanted to make these relatively realistic looking, so mine are about around 8 inches or so-ish. Each one's slightly different, but approximately around there, in between 7 to 9 inches, we'll say. So I'm just going to keep rolling my clay, and you might see it gets a little bit of cracks in it here or there, and that's okay. If it does, it's easily squished back together. If it's not wanting to go together, just take a little dab of water, put on your fingers, add to it, and it will help it smooth out a little easier. If you've never worked with clay, I do recommend giving it a try. It really is fun. It's actually pretty satisfying to work with. It's kind of like I said, Play-Doh for adults. It really is kind of satisfying to squish it, and it's really forgiving. So if you don't like how something's looking, you can just squish it back up and start again. No big deal. But I'm just going to keep rolling my clay and working with it until I get it into a carrot shape. And like I said, I wanted these to look kind of realistic. Like if you've ever pulled a carrot out of the garden, you'll know no two are alike, and they definitely don't come out looking perfectly shaped. They have little twists and bumps and sometimes just downright crooked. And the tips of them are sometimes a lot thinner and longer. And I just wanted to add a little bit of that realistic element. Kind of go here on my bottom, make sure I get everything smoothed out. Now once I get my carrot into the shape that I want it, I'm going to take some of this greenery. This is just a stem from Hobby Lobby. I really like the top of it. I thought it really kind of resembled the top of a carrot. And I'm just going to poke it right down in that wet clay, right in the center. Put it in there pretty good, a couple inches down so that it's really in there. And just add a little bit of water to my fingers here and just smooth out that bottom where I kind of squished it a little bit there so that it has that rounded shape. And next I'm just going to take this is actually, I think, a little tool that you use to put the polyfill fiber down in the corners of stuff. It comes in the bag, but today it's going to be my clay molding tool. And I'm just going to take it and I'm going to use it to make little indentations in the clay, little lines like a real carrot has. I'm just going along here or there, just putting a few little lines scattered all the way up my carrot. I'll try to hold it up here so you can kind of see. It's kind of hard to see in the camera, but in the end, once this is all done and painted, you'll be able to see them a little better. But I just kind of wanted to make this look like the little veins, lines, and the little grooves that you find in a real carrot. If you're enjoying this video so far, I hope you'll drop down and hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and crafting with me again in the future. I'd love to have you join me again. And I'm sure you've noticed YouTube has a new feature called Hype. It's a way that you can show support for your favorite creators and videos. It's completely free. And if you hit that button, it just lets YouTube know that you enjoyed the video and to show it to new people. And I would greatly appreciate it. It really does help my channel. So here is my little carrot after I have all the little lines and grooves in it. And I'm going to make a set of 3. So I'm going to repeat this process 2 more times. The great thing about these carrots is, like I said, each one is different. Each one is unique, just like carrots you pull out of a garden. No two are exactly alike. And you can even see here with these two, the one I actually made shorter than the other one. That one's around 6.5, I think 7 inches, while the others are more like around 8 or 9. So once they've hardened completely, this is what they look like. And this air dry clay is not the foam kind. It's the kind that hardens. It's really hard. It's not the foam stuff. So I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color pumpkin, and I'm going to give these carrots one coat of this orange chalk paint. And I let these carrots dry about 24 hours. After about 24 hours, they were solid, pretty solid dry. And up here at the top, I pulled the greenery back to paint, and I probably should have got a smaller brush. It would have made my life a lot easier, but me being me, I was being stubborn, so I decided I was going to do it with this big brush. If I would have got a smaller brush, it would have made my life easier. So, if you want to make it easier on yourself, grab a smaller brush up at the top. Or be stubborn like me, and you can do it. You just might have to wipe some paint off the greenery. So now once the orange paint is dry, I'm going to go in with my Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm going to just put a really, really, really light amount on my brush here. As you can see, I dab most of it off, and I'm going to start going over these carrots with the Antique Wax, because carrots, when you pull them out of the garden, they're not pristine, they are not clean, they have dirt on them. And that's what I kind of want to give this the look. I want this to get down in those grooves, give it the look of a carrot that is a fresh carrot that still has maybe a little bit of the garden dirt on it. So I'm just going through, dry brushing some of my antique wax on, and I'm going to use my finger here, get my hands a little messy, and I'm just going to rub that antique wax into these grooves on along the carrot, just tone down that orange, give it that fresh from the garden look, or as fresh from the garden as we can get with clay, I guess. And if you get too much, no big deal. Just grab a little bit of orange paint and go right back over it and keep right on going. Like I said, these are a real forgiving project. Nothing's set in stone. If you don't like something, you just very easily fix it. So just have fun with these. They really are just a really, really fun project to do. And here's what they look like once they're all completely dry. I think these look so cute. Now you could do these individually, but I wanted to bundle mine. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just putting mine together and using my thicker jute twine that I get from Walmart. I'm just going to wrap it around these carrots a couple times, give it a little tie and a knot right here in the center, and our little bundle of faux carrots is complete. These are adorable to pop in a dough bowl, stick on a shelf. You could pop them beside a little stuffed bunny. I absolutely love how these turned out. I plan on making a few more sets of these. Now for this next DIY, we're going to be using this clay again, and we're going to make an adorable little clay bunny. Now, the actual idea to make this bunny, I actually found on Pinterest, and I will link that original pin down in the bottom, because they gave me the inspiration of how to actually put this clay bunny together using the clay. So I'm just going to roll my clay into about a 6-inch long little tube here, and using just my hands, I'm going to flatten out the two ends about an inch. Flatten it out about an inch, and using my Cricut tool, which today is going to be a sculpting tool, I'm just going to cut it right down the middle on the flattened section and spread it apart. This is going to be the back feet and the bunny ears of our little clay bunny. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put this kind of in an S shape. So I'm going to fold it down over. I want it to go over top of those back feet a little bit and then fold it back on itself. So it's an S essentially. We're folding it into an S. So you can see where the one side became the feet and the other side became the ears. And using my scissors, I'm just going to trim a little section here on the back. That's going to end up being our bunny tail. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on my finger to use that to smooth the clay around from where I trimmed it there and to form it into just a little tail. Now for the front legs, I'm going to make a couple other snips right beside the head and just flatten these out gently. You can see here what I mean. These are going to be the little front legs of our bunny, kind of nestled right under the face. Just kind of flatten them a little bit. And using my little Cricut tool, I'm just going to push in a couple lines to give these little bunny paws, little lines of the little bunny toes. And I'm going to do that 2 on the front and a couple on each of the little back legs as well. Let's see, I have my little crafting buddy out here with me today. My little Isabella is out here joining me. She's got some clay of her own over there crafting. So you might see her hands pop in and out of the video a few times because she needed some water for her own little clay project she was doing. She's Mom's little crafting buddy. So I'm just adding a little bit of water to my finger and I'm just kind of smoothing out and around the clay, just kind of where I was handling it, any sections it might have just needs a little smoothing down, a little rounding. Just adding a little bit of water to your finger and going over it, it'll just smooth that clay right out. I think in the original Pinterest reel that I was watching where they used the clay to make this, I think they were using the foam clay. It seemed to go a little smoother than with this harder air drying clay. Once I get it smoothed out, I'm going to take my little Cricut tool here again, and I'm just going to make 2 lines in the ears, just 2 indentations down the center to give those ears a little bit of depth there. This clay is such a fun thing. If you've never do it, please give it a try. It's so fun. It really is. So you can get an idea of what our little bunny's looking like. I'm just smoothing down around his little face here, sculpting it down so his face is nice and smooth around his little paws, or as smooth as I can get it. I am definitely no master sculptor by any means, but I have fun trying all the different craft mediums, different things, and I really do enjoy working with clay. So you can kind of see what this little bunny is looking like. Now I want to give him a little face, so right on the nose, I'm just going to make a indentation of a Y, and I'll show it to you here in a second. Just to give him a little nose, kind of a little bunny face. See? Now for his eyes, I'm going to go into this is my little safety eyes, little 3mm safety eyes I get off of Amazon. I'm not using the backs, I'm just taking the fronts of these, and I'm just going to decide where I want my little bunny's eyes and then gently press the safety eyes down into the clay. And there's a little bunny. I think he's adorable. So now, after about 24 hours, this little guy is completely dry, he's completely hard, and ready to decorate. So you could absolutely leave this a white bunny, which is really cute. But I wanted to do a brown bunny. I kind of, in my head, had a picture of the Velveteen Rabbit when I started this project. Does anybody remember the book The Velveteen Rabbit, about the little bunny, the little stuffed bunny who if a child loved it enough, would become a real bunny. I loved that story as a kid, and I kind of want to make this little guy look like the Velveteen Bunny, which, if memory serves me correct, was brown with a little bit of white on its chest and face. So I'm taking my Waverly Antique Wax and I'm going to give this bunny a full coat of the antique wax. I'm using that instead of paint because the antique wax isn't completely solid like paint would be. I still wanted this guy to have a little bit of a, I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for here is. I didn't want it to be solid, so I would say a stain look, but kind of you'll see what the texture looks like when it's done. It really turns out pretty. I'm just going to take a paper towel here and wipe off the excess so you can see what the wax looks like. You can still see little hints of that white, I guess, showing through. Now, of course, I want my bunny tail to be white, so taking some of my Waverly White chalk paint, I'm just going to go back in and paint his little tail white again. And then, like I said, the Velveteen Bunny, if my memory is serving correct, I hope my memory is right here. It had a little bit of white on its chest and belly and even the tips of its nose. So that's what I'm doing with just a really, really, really light amount here on my brush. I'm just going to give the little chest and even down the bottom, even though you won't see it, I'll know it's there, a little bit of white. It's just a light, light dab right on the front of its nose, just really, really light amount. I wanted it to blend, not be blaring in your face. Just a light, light touch. And I'm going to take the white and I'm going to go right along the grooves in the ears as well too, to kind of lighten the inside of those ears. Give them a little definition there. Now, since his belly is white, I'm going to go right here on the sides and just really, really lightly, right on that underside, just give a little hint of white peeking out, kind of like just maybe the sides of his belly sticking, you can see. And of course, you can decorate your bunny however one. You could make a hot pink bunny, Easter bunny if you really wanted to. This is just how I wanted to do mine. Now, I wanted my little bunny to have a pink nose, so just taking a pink Crayola marker here, I'm just going to lightly go in that Y part of his little nose with this pink marker, just real lightly, just to give it a little hint of rosiness. And you'll see me, I use my finger a lot to blend the colors. I'm going to do the same thing right in the grooves of his ears. I did the white, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of pink as well. Now, set my bunny aside for a minute because I want to make some things to go with our little bunny. And I'm going to take the clay and I want to make some miniature carrots, some little mini bunny size carrots here. So that's what I'm doing. It's kind of very similar to the process of the large carrots, except I'm not going to put all the lines in it like I did the large ones. I'm just going to roll it into a little shape. This is about maybe an inch long. It's not super big. And then trim off a couple really small sprigs of this greenery, pop it right down in the middle, just like I did with the big ones. Let those dry, and then I'm going to give them a coat of the orange paint as well. And you'll see I actually made several of these little small carrots because we're going to use these small carrots in another project here in just a few minutes. Now I wanted to make a little base for my bunny to sit on because I'm going to put this little guy on my tiered tray, and I wanted to make a cute little base for him to sit on, and I didn't have just a plain circle, so I used this wood Christmas ornament that I get off of Amazon and just trimmed off that little bulb part on the top. Sometimes you just got to use what you got. Gave it a coat of the Waverly Antique Wax, let it dry, and then I'm going to hot glue a little nest of Spanish moss all over the top of it here. I want to have my bunny sit right on top of this. I'm not going to end up gluing my bunny down, so that way I have the option of removing it later. I have a tendency each year to kind of change up my decor, so I might decide next year I don't want the bunny on the little stand. I might want to do something else with it. So I didn't want to glue the bunny down, but I did want a cute little stand for him to sit on in my tiered tray this year. So I'm just going to glue this moss down, press it down really good in there, and then trim up all those wild, crazy edges that like to just fly off everywhere. You can see the bunny just sits perfectly right on top. Now, using one of my little carrots here that is now dry, I'm going to pop it right beside our little bunny. Our little bunny stole a little carrot there. He's eating his little carrot. Now, last week, if you saw, I used some lavender on the little palette cross and I trimmed off the bottom of it. And I saved those little scraps. I did because I am now going to use those little scraps. I'm going to cut them up and I'm going to use these to hot glue around my little bunny here. I'm not going to knot to my bunny, just in the moss around my bunny. I want it to kind of look like my little bunny was sitting in a little, maybe little field of lavender and grass. Maybe he stole a bunny out of the farmer's garden and he's hopped off in the grass and lavender and he's gonna munch on his little carrot. So I'm just gonna take these little scraps of lavender and just kind of glue them all around wherever I think they look good, just kind of around my little bunny. So you can see I could lift the bunny off and the lavender is just right there tucked around him. This is just a fun project to get creative with. You could use whatever kinds of flowers, whatever you wanted to, or none at all, because this little guy would look cute just sitting on a shelf or a tiered tray just as he is too. And here is our little bunny. I absolutely adore this. Is it perfect? No, but it's perfectly imperfect. I absolutely adore how he turned out. I think he's cute. Now, to go along with our little bunny, I'm going to take this little miniature terracotta pot and I'm going to take some of my Waverly White chalk paint and I'm just going to dab most of it off, a really, really light amount. And I'm going to start dry brushing it onto this terracotta pot. Like I said, I'm going to very light amount. I just want this to have kind of a whitewashed look, or like this was a pot that was maybe once completely white, but after years of being used and sitting outside, the white has just really faded away and the terracotta is showing back through. And this is what you have left, just that really pretty weathered paint pot look. So I'm just going to keep going over it, not adding any extra paint, just keep blending that white in with that terracotta just to give it that weathered look. Now I need just a little bit of filler in the bottom, so I'm just taking a little bit of a plastic bag. You guys know I love to use plastic bags to use as filler for these little projects. It's a great way to upcycle them. And then I'm going to take 3 more of my little miniature carrots that I made out of my clay. I made some of these a little bigger than others, maybe 1.5 inches. Some are just 1 inch. So I'm going to take 2 of the little bit larger ones to put in the back and then maybe a little shorter one in the front here. And once I find the 3 I want to use, I'm going to grab some more of my Spanish moss. I'm going to pull my little carrots back out here, tuck my moss down in there, and then tuck my carrots back in down in that moss. Then once I get my carrots situated in there, I'll take my hot glue and I'm not gluing the carrots themselves. Once they're down the pot, they're kind of secure down there, but I'm going to glue the Spanish moss around the edges to the pot. Make sure that's filled in real good and that moss is kind of tucked and glued right around that edge. Guys, and I apologize if my voice sounds a little scratchy today. I'm sorry. I think my kids have tried to give me a little bit of their cold. I'm fighting it off. I'm refusing to go down and get sick. So, but if my voice sounds a little scratchy, that is what it is. I'm just gonna trim back off some of this wild moss here. So you can see our little pot of carrots. Now I want to make a little garden sign to go in my carrots. So I'm just going to take my craft scissors. I'm going to take one of these larger popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree and then just one of the normal size ones. Just going to kind of eyeball the size of the sign. And I'm going to hot glue the smaller stick right to the back. I will trim the other stick down, but not until I measure it to see exactly how far up in my pot I want it to stick out. Now on my sign, I'm going to take my fine tip Sharpie marker and I'm just going to write carrot patch because this is our little carrot patch. This might be a little carrot patch our bunny stole its carrot from. So once it's written on there, I'm going to take my antique wax and I'm just going to lightly go over this. I just want it to look like a nice little weathered garden sign. Now with this, I do the antique wax after I do my Sharpie marker because otherwise the marker doesn't like to write on it if the wax goes on first. If you were, say, using a paint pen or something instead, the order of operations wouldn't really matter as much there. So once that's done, I'm just going to decide how far up I want my sign to stick, trim down that popsicle stick, and pop it right into the little pot. And here is our little carrot patch terracotta pot. I'm going to add that right to my tiered tray right next to my bunny. And oh my goodness, look how stinking cute. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to drop down and hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, I'd love to have you subscribe and join me again. Don't forget to follow me on social media and leave me a comment of which of today's was your favorite and if you might try on. Until next time, God bless and happy crafting.